There's a lot of activity going on next door.
Yeah.
Chris? Good? Okay. All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. So first of all, thank you for being here today, and thank you for your concern for our Tempe community. I'd like to introduce first the members of the Tempe City Council who are here with me this afternoon. We have Vice Mayor Doreen Garland, Councilmember Jennifer Adams, Councilmember Nikki Amberg, and Councilmember Burdetta Hodge. So as you know, on October 13th, the city of Tempe suffered a devastating storm, the worst in our community's history. With the efforts of residents and businesses helping each other and the assistance of our county, state, and federal partners, we are making progress on recovering. No community is built for the push of 70-mile-an-hour winds and downdrafts of 90 miles per hour. This supercell moved mobile homes off their foundations, blew rooftops as much as 400 feet, and downed so many beautiful 100-year-old trees. We are so fortunate that the flying wreckage did not kill anyone. We are here today at J.C. Park, adjacent to the Westside Multicultural Center today, next to what was once a 60-year-old eucalyptus tree. Our community services staff tells me that we anticipate we will lose approximately 500 trees just within Tempe's Parks and Recreation system. Our Tempe Police and Fire Medical Rescue were doing what they do so well, even during the height of the storm. They were responding to the calls for help from our community. Tempe Police received 369 calls in 1 hour. The average number of calls hourly for police is 44. By the end of the day, more than 1,000 calls had come in. Tempe Fire responded to 170 calls in just 3 hours. I would like to thank the crews from our surrounding cities for stepping in to help us respond to everyone as timely as possible. Our city staff are continuing to work diligently and with heart to restore our streets, our parks, and to help people with their needs. I'd like to now call out some extraordinary efforts. As of yesterday, our Public Works team members have collected more than 70 tons of damaged trees and storm debris. Our transportation crews cleared more than 200 downed trees that were blocking roadways and sidewalks to ensure that routes were safe and passable for everyone. They are restoring damaged streetlights and many downed street signs, impacted traffic signals, and flooded bus stops. As mayor, I declared an emergency for our city. The intention is to help our residents and businesses get the most assistance possible so they can recover, return home, and get back to a more normal everyday. We are working with county, state, and federal partners. Their support and guidance in this process is appreciated and very important to us. I would like to thank Maricopa County Department of Emergency Management, the American Red Cross, the State of Arizona Emergency Management, including Director Gabe Levine, the National Weather Service, and of course Congressman Greg Stanton for his personal efforts and letter of support. Each day, more and more people ask me how they can help. First of all, help each other. Continue to check on your more vulnerable neighbors. Be kind to each other as we get through this together. Next, if you have damage, fill out the damage assessment form on tempe.gov/Tempe Storm. That will help us qualify for funding to help our community. If you'd like to donate food or hygiene items, Tempe Community Action Agency is accepting those. They are open extra hours this week to collect both your donations or to assist people with their needs. More than 130 people were displaced because of the storm, and some have pets that need help as well. Lost Our Home Pet Foundation is providing temporary care for pets while their people look for housing. They can also provide dog food. Tempe Community Council is accepting monetary donations of all sizes to help people recover from the storm. If you go to tempe.gov/Tempe Storm, There is a link to all of these organizations, along with other ways to get help. While the storm is past, this is just the beginning of our recovery as well as our rebuilding. It may take weeks or even months to fully restore this community. Insurance companies need to work through claims, contractors are being hired, and our trees will be replanted. It's been a rough 5 days, but please be patient and know that we all share the same goal: to be safe, to return to normal, and to make our community the best it can be. And now I'd like to introduce someone who's been an incredible friend and support to people in the city of Tempe and to our entire district, Congressman Greg Stanton.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor Woods, and to the city council leaders who are here, and the city manager and the leaders of the Tempe Fire and Tempe Police, all who did amazing work to help this community after one of, as the mayor just pointed out, the worst storm in Tempe's history. It was one hell of a storm. Tempe experienced one of the most damaging storms in its history. October 15th, a severe microburst tore through these neighborhoods right around us right now, leaving a path of destruction that has affected hundreds of families and businesses across the Tempe community. The numbers tell a sobering story. More than 550 homes and 70 businesses have reported damage. Approximately 130 of our neighbors have been displaced from their homes after apartment buildings were deemed unsafe. At the peak of the storm, over 22,000 residents lost power. Trees uprooted, power lines came down, roads were blocked, critical infrastructure was disrupted. But while the storm's damage was significant, the response from our community has been nothing short of extraordinary. So I want to again say thank you to Mayor Corey Woods, the entire Tempe City Council, for their steadfast leadership. Within hours of this disaster, they activated emergency response plans and worked around the clock to protect people's public safety. 2 days ago, the city declared a local emergency proclamation, which has expedited cleanup and repairs and mobilization of assistance from Maricopa County and the state of Arizona. And I also want to recognize the incredible work of Tempe's first responders, public works crews, utility workers, and emergency management personnel. Your swift action saved lives and prevented further damage. You've worked through long days and nights to restore power, clean debris, and ensure that Tempe's residents are safe. Tempe and our entire community, we are so fortunate to have such dedicated public servants. Now, as we move from the immediate response to recovery, as the mayor mentioned, we need every affected resident and business owner to take a critical action. Complete the damage assessment survey at tempe.gov/Tempe Storm. Again, that's tempe.gov/Tempe Storm. This is not just paperwork. This is how we can unlock federal resources for this community if necessary. The state of Arizona cannot request these resources from the federal government without accurate damage assessments from the ground level. Every single report that is filed matters. Every assessment you submit builds the case for federal assistance that can help this entire community recover. So if your home was damaged, whether it's a broken window, roof damage, or structural damage, report it. If your business suffered losses, whether it's damaged equipment, lost inventory, or interrupted operations, please report it. Again, tempe.gov/Tempe Storm. Complete the survey. It takes just a few minutes, but it could make the difference between qualifying for needed federal assistance or not. This is a resilient community. This community faced damages or challenges before, and it has always come back stronger. But we can only do that by working together, by supporting one another, by documenting our needs accurately, and by making sure every level of government understands the full scope of what the people of Tempe are facing after this historic storm. To our residents who have been displaced or are dealing with significant damage, we will not stop working until you can recover and rebuild. Thank you to everyone who has already submitted their assessment. Thank you to the volunteers who have been helping our neighbors. Thank you again to the city of Tempe for showing once again why this community, the Tempe community, is so special. Let's keep moving forward together. Again, complete your damage assessment today, tempe.gov Tempe storm. Thank you, and I think, Mayor, you're going to lead us in questions.
Thank you, Congressman. Appreciate your support as always. We'll now take any questions if anyone has them. Yes, sir. Clearly, the reason why we have to have people fill out those damage assessment forms is because the more people actually fill out, as Congressman Stanton talked about, the better chance we have to actually get federal resources to help us rebuild as quickly as possible. I don't exactly know what the dollar amount is from a damage standpoint to reach that threshold, but we know that every report counts. So we would encourage every resident and business owner that did experience some kind of damage to their property, whether it was their home, a business, a vehicle, to submit those forms and do them as accurately as possible, because frankly, the more accurate those reports, the more funding that we may be eligible to receive to help us recover even more quickly from this disaster. Yes. Well, it really is critically important. I mean, we as a city have some resources. Obviously, we have an incredible team that's doing a great job with the recovery and the rebuilding. And of course, as we've talked about, we've got incredible partners on the ground that have very much helped us over the last 5 days and that have been partners for a long time. But at the same time, the ability to access even more funding from the federal government means they are able to recover and rebuild that much more quickly. Our residents are very patient. They are helping one another during this very challenging time. But clearly, we all want to make sure that we can get all of the downed trees and all of the green waste and all of the debris off of roads and off of people's properties as soon as humanly possible. And the ability to have more resources from the federal government means that that job can get done even quicker and we can restore normalcy even faster. Yes, please.
Obviously, the issue here is that the intensity of the storm was unbelievable. And the damage, you just drive around here, as I have done, to many of the homes and businesses is significant. It is a localized storm. We had rain for 5 straight days, significant rain and flooding elsewhere, but Tempe in this particular area uniquely got hit so hard. And there may be businesses who don't have insurance for the damages that they've suffered. They've lost key equipment, etc. So even though the amount of damage may not be as big as it would be in a storm that is wider, the intensity of that storm is visible and obvious. And so that's why the case needs to be made. We need to fill out these forms so we can show that the level. We want to accurately document what happened here. We're not trying to get federal dollars that may not be appropriate, but if we document everything and it rises to that level, then certainly the people of Tempe deserve federal support.
Yes, Lauren.
The damage assessment is only one part of accessing federal funds, correct? Do you still need Governor Hobbs to declare state of emergency?
Yes, and she has also indicated, I read in a news report last night, that she's preparing an emergency declaration for the city of Tempe as we speak. So even in advance, we appreciate Governor Hobbs' support as we work our way through this time. Yes. I don't have one immediately. I know that that information is still very much being collected by our public safety team as they're doing all of these assessments. We should have that probably in the coming weeks, but I don't have a specific dollar amount at this time. Yes. I am not sure. I know that there are more requests coming in each and every day. I don't know if we are currently keeping a running count, but I do know our first responders, along with Maricopa County and the state of Arizona, are really kind of managing the inflow of people, whether they're calling or submitting reports. I don't have an exact number at this time, but we know that there are quite a few that have already come in. And of course, we're going to encourage everyone else who hasn't yet filled out that form, if they were affected, to make sure that they get it done as soon as humanly possible. I would just say we would hope as soon as possible. That is really our goal. I mean, when you're talking about an emergency situation and disaster recovery as we're discussing today, obviously any ability that we have to access those funds as soon as possible is going to be greatly needed and very much appreciated by the residents and businesses that were harmed or affected or displaced during this past Monday's microburst. Yes, please.
Okay. And then two forms of federal support that could happen would be eligibility for disaster loans from the Small Business Administration, because so many small businesses were hit by this terrible storm. So that would be eligibility for that. And then obviously potentially FEMA resources, which would involve people who have been displaced from their homes. They might get some short-term financial support, particularly low-income individuals, so that they can sustain themselves during an incredibly difficult time in their lives. And then FEMA also allows for certain long-term recoveries as well. Those are the two main forms of federal support if and when the governor issues the national declaration, the emergency declaration, and the president would accept that declaration. That unlocks those two forms of help.
Also, Interim Fire Medical Rescue Chief Darrell Duty also had a response to your question, so I'll bring him to the podium.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll go back to the question about the number of submittals. As of the close of business yesterday, so at 5 o'clock yesterday, the damage assessment teams that have gone out have done over 450 assessments, and they've turned those in. And then the self-assessments, as of 5 o'clock yesterday, we had 75 of those. So, yep.
Thank you, Chief. Yes. Lauren, sorry, Lauren. Apologize. I was looking over your shoulder, but looking at you at the same time. They are still functioning, but the congressman would probably be a better person to answer that question than myself.
So the answer to that question is yes. FEMA is still operating, particularly for emergency situations like the people of Tempe have suffered. Now, as the New York Times reported yesterday, there's indications of delays in FEMA either issuing the president issuing disaster declarations, delay in, from what typically has happened in past emergencies, delay in getting dollars out, and I'll let other people determine themselves what the reason is for that. That's very frustrating for me, because we want to make sure that people get help right away. When a disaster has occurred, like it has happened here in this immediate area, that they get the help they need ASAP, both short-term support and the long-term support. And so there should be, if and when the governor decides to issue this declaration and the president would decide to declare it an emergency, we want to make sure people get that help right away, because people who are displaced from their homes, particularly who may not have a lot of income availability set aside, we want to get them support right away.
Yes, please. Sounds good. Congressman?
Obviously, help is needed now,
Yep.
right? Do you think it's a little bit presumptuous to now ask the federal government for assistance when we are going through the shutdown? There might be delays, so we need help now from community members and businesses.
Yeah, I want to make sure what I was talking about is not any delays related to the shutdown. FEMA is able to do this. They have the resources. They have the support. Their disaster fund is actually doing well. There haven't been as many hurricane disasters nationally. So the fund upon which you would utilize for emergencies like Tempe has suffered, that fund is doing okay. No, the suggestion, unfortunately, is, has disaster management in the United States become politicized? And I hope and pray it hasn't, because Americans want to help their fellow Americans at times of disaster. And so those disaster officials, they are exempt from the shutdown. They are working, and that should not, if the governor makes a decision to declare this or ask for the disaster declaration, the president decides to declare this a disaster declaration, there is no impediment to move quickly. And that's why it's been frustrating to see in other communities there have unfortunately been delays. We're saying no delays on, if it's appropriate, no delays on that one. Let's get help to people right away.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes. Absolutely. As soon as this microburst finished, probably within even a couple of hours, am routinely on social media and connected to probably every single neighborhood Facebook group that exists within this community. I saw residents online immediately talking about checking on people that they thought might be vulnerable, whether they lived across the street, next door, or down the street. Immediately, people were asking, does everyone have electricity? Has a tree fallen on someone's car? They were immediately talking about, is there a chainsaw I can borrow from someone to go and cut down a tree that might be about to fall on someone's home or on someone's vehicle? If someone lost power, there were immediately people online saying, you're welcome to come to my home if you don't have the ability to have power right now, or your water's not running, or if someone needs a hot meal. People were immediately just sort of inundated with support from other members of this community who saw other residents in need and wanted to immediately step in and uplift their fellow Tempe residents. So it's just sort of been something constant that I've seen ever since this storm took place. And also the people even online and in the following days calling because they wanted to donate food products or hygiene products or just simply money to help people get back on their feet. So we have just been inundated with so many people in this community, and frankly, even people outside of the city of Tempe that have offered financial resources and other kinds of resources to make sure that residents and business owners can get back on their feet as soon as humanly possible. So I know that's one thing that the council and I completely agree on is the huge hearts of the people of the city of Tempe have really come through during this tragedy. And so not only am I exceptionally proud of our first responders and our public works employees and all of the entities we've had a chance to work with during this recovery effort, but I'm also exceptionally proud of the residents of this city in stepping in to uplift one another in a tremendous time of need. Yes. Yes, again, sorry. I gotta stop looking like I've got an idea about that. We want to look. The fact of the matter is, there are a lot of neighborhoods, especially many of our older neighborhoods, that had very mature trees that lined the entire community, and many times even the arterial and collector streets throughout the city of Tempe. As we talked about, we're concerned that we're going to lose over 500 trees just from this storm alone. So we absolutely are having conversations internally now about when it could be appropriate for us to really step in and replant a lot of those trees, because we recognize that trees provide shade, they provide oxygen, and they also provide much of the neighborhood character that a lot of our residents enjoy. So that is definitely something that we are actively talking about internally right now. Yes, sir. Absolutely. There is no claim too small, frankly, to file when something like this is going on. If you experienced some kind of damage, once again, whether it's to your home or your vehicle or your business or some other kind of personal damage, we would encourage you to fill out that damage assessment form at tempe.gov/Tempe Storm. There is none too small. We need as many people as possible to report these incidents that took place so we can have access to as much federal funding as humanly possible to help our community recover as fast as we possibly can. So we would encourage you or anybody else that you know, if you're watching this right now, please make sure to fill out those damage assessments. You You can definitely fill it out yourself, but I would also encourage you too, if you're talking to your landlord, make sure that they also fill that form out as well. I mean, once again, the more the better. But yes, if you are a renter, which I am personally, I was fortunate to be in a place that didn't incur any damage. But as a renter myself, if there had been damage, I would absolutely have filled out that form, and I would encourage anyone, whether you rent or you own, to fill out that damage assessment form. Yes, Lauren? Chief, you might be able to better answer that one than me, but I would obviously think that if you're filling out the form and you were including the same address, let's say, I know what my address is for the apartment complex that I live in, they would be able to triage and figure out that it's all sort of coming from the same general location, maybe different units within an apartment complex, but they would absolutely know that we've had a certain number of claims come in from the same main address. So I'll turn it over to the chief. He can probably elaborate on that.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, that's correct. So starting Monday, that's going to be one of the major tasks of the staff in the Emergency Operations Center. Is we're gonna look at all the data that's come in, and we're going to reconcile that and sort of eliminate the duplicates that come in. Yep.
All right, I can take one more question. I think you, yes, sir. I would say pretty much everything. When I've heard from residents directly, or from the comments that I've seen online, or from emails or Tempe 311 calls that we've received, they're pretty much talking about everything. But the reality is, first and foremost, if you have an experience where your power was out, or your water was out, or the gas line was broken during the course of the storm, those are the things that we have to focus on first and foremost, is trying to make sure that your home is inhabitable. But obviously, when it comes to everything else, downed trees, other kinds of green waste, and other kinds of property damage, we want to make sure to get to those things as well. But we clearly prioritize things that are of health and safety first and foremost. We want people to be able to return back to their homes, to be able to operate their businesses. So those are the things that will receive first priority. But at the end of the day, from my perspective, and everyone standing behind me right now, everything is a priority. The health and safety and well-being of our residents and our business owners is top-notch for each and every one of us. And so we're going to work on getting everything back to normal and back up the way that people expected as soon as humanly possible. But once again, we do want to encourage our residents that we will need some patience as this process goes on. It's going to take weeks to really restore everything to what it looked like prior to Monday's storm, and perhaps even months. But I want people to know that we are doing everything we can, along with our federal, county, and state partners, to get things looking exactly the way they did prior to Monday's microburst. So we appreciate your support. We especially appreciate your support of our public works team and our first responders and all of our partners. But we would definitely urge patience as we continue to rebuild everything the way that it was before. So thank you. All right, everyone, thank you so much for being here today. Really greatly appreciate it.